Welcome to Let's Talk Possibility, episode 90 on the 15th of July, 2013. And in tonight's show, we talk humor and comedy in the workplace and in life in general. And we have two fabulous guests, namely Don Packett, who is a stand-up comedian, and then also Robin Banks, who is a mind power expert. Thanks for joining us.
Welcome to Let's Talk Possibility, where we explore ideas, challenge thinking, and inspire action. I'm Talana Simpson, and with me is my co-host, John Dix.
Hi, good evening.
And we're talking all about humor tonight and how humor can be used in the world of business and even in our personal lives, and also in training, and how we use it to teach people things. And with us on the training side is Robin Banks, one of the world's leading authorities on the subject of mind power and personal mastery.
Thank you.
And we also have a stand-up comedian in studio, Don Packett.
Hi.
Who's also co-founder of an innovation consultancy called 21 Tanks.
Correct.
So great. So you two are actually two of the funniest people I know.
Really?
I've loved your stand-up comedy.
I know. I'm not even a comedian. I'm delighted that I'm here.
And now I've attended some of your workshops and that, and it's just been an enjoyable experience. So I've always been in my own field. I mean, I also do training and get up in front of people every now and again and talk, and it's funny that balance of bringing some humor in and comedy into what you do, because it has so much value. So what would you say humor is? Because if you think I don't get out enough, if I think you two are funny. So what is humor?
What does
it mean to you? Yeah.
Humor is, I don't know, humor's funny stuff. Humor makes you happy. That's my take on it. I mean, I suppose I've always tried to make the lighter side of things. Not my wife isn't a big fan of that always, but it is like life. Life needs to be enjoyed, and for me, enjoying it is making light of everything.
Yeah, I can see why your wife doesn't like it.
Yeah, I think I concur with actually everything you said. For me, you know, if we're not enjoying life, what's the point? Seriously, I'm very serious about my humor, because I mean, if you're not enjoying your life, what's the point? So while I might not be a comedian, I'm very conscious about ensuring that I bring a lot of lightness and laughter, not only to my presentations, but into everyday interactions, chatting to people, making them laugh, making them smile. I have a conscious intention that when I walk into Woolworths or Pick and Pay, when I'm putting petrol in my car, that I'm going to leave and that guy's going to have a smile on his face, because it lifts people's days, it lifts their spirits. And so for me, what's better than lifting? There's no way you can lift other people's spirits without lifting your own. So humor for me, I love what you said. It's about making light of things. We make life so heavy. It's such a drag. And sometimes we make things so heavy when a little bit of humor can go a long way. I love, one of my favorite quotes is Tony Robbins often says, you know how people say, one day we'll look back at this and we'll laugh about it? He says, well, why wait? Let's laugh now. And so I like that attitude.
Would you say that it's a certain type of energy then? I mean, you're talking about how you lift people up. It's a way you present almost yourself.
Oh, absolutely. It has to be. It absolutely. So I've got this thing where I try to smile as much as possible. It's just something that I suppose I've done all my life. And if you see someone else smiling, half of you think maybe you want to smile a bit. The other part of you is thinking, what does that guy know that I don't?
Right.
And it's intriguing.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Why not? Little things flipping out all over the place. But being smiley and being happy and everything, there's nothing wrong with it. So why don't we do it more?
And why don't we?
I don't know. People take things too seriously, which is where I come in, and I try not to be too serious.
I think we've forgotten to have fun. I mean, in my talks, I often say to people, it's like we've forgotten to have fun. We're so serious, and everything has become so serious. I mean, I was flipping through the TV the other day and watching a bit of news, because I was feeling a bit too positive and up, so I thought I got to bring myself down. So I thought
news is the best way to do that.
It was very effective, because I mean, I just saw all the nonsense happening in various different countries. Well, I'm feeling depressed like everyone else. This is good. And the whole point is just like we focus our attention on what's wrong so much of the time. And what I think is great about humor is it just makes us realize realize, you know what, let's stop taking ourselves so seriously. And I mean, I do agree there's times to be serious, but most of the time I think, it's great bringing humor in. Like, I'm very conscious of, I walked into the office, I've been out of the country for 2 months, and after 10 minutes I said to my staff, I know you guys missed me, you haven't been laughing as much. And they said, no, we did miss you, but it was also quite quiet, so it was quite nice.
They got work done, yeah.
They got more done.
Yeah, because besides then just the lighter side and just enjoying our day, I mean, there's actual physiological benefits to humor. It actually changes the chemistry in our body, which, releases, affects the stress hormones.
Yeah.
So I think it actually has a health benefits.
Yes, and I think when you laugh, you jiggle up and down, and that's good for the muscles because you get to tense everything and maybe lose fat. I don't know. That's what I'm going with. That's why I have these rock hard abs.
That's what's working for him. It's rock hard. But actually, I'm sure you know about the healing mechanism, the laughter healing mechanism. There's a number of things that you're touching on. Patch Adams, for example. I'm sure most people know Patch Adams. Patch Adams is a doctor, and he actually used laughter as a healing technique where he dressed up as a clown and went to kids' hospitals and visited them and made them laugh.
Looked a lot like Robin Williams.
Yes.
Talana, do you use humor in your training and talking to people?
I do attempt, but I don't know if I do it to the level you guys
Give
do.
us something.
No, so I can't.
No.
and that was one of the questions is can you learn humor? I mean, so obviously it's a skill I'm conscious of. I mean, I've experienced the benefits, from being in audience and learning, from you. I learned a lot, but I had so much fun learning. So is it something
I think
you
as
can
long
develop?
as it's being yourself in a natural way, because for me there's nothing worse than someone trying to emulate something that's not really them.
Yeah.
So I don't know about you, but when I'm like, I actually I wasn't going out there to be funny. I'm going out there to teach a lesson. And the very first time I stood up to do a presentation, and I'm not kidding, the very first time was a group of 70 students. I was doing this thing. I was bloody nervous. I'm supposed to be teaching them life skills. And within about 3-4 minutes, they were laughing, and I wasn't even trying to make them laugh. And I suddenly realized, oh my goodness, I'm funny. Yeah. And I didn't realize I was funny. I wasn't trying to be funny. But I do also, I'm very conscious about learning. Like if I hear a really great joke, I'm like, that's a keeper.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's a keeper, and I'll use it, and I'll practice it. Yeah, I'm always looking for material. But just to answer your question, for me, also, there's nothing more corny when you're trying to be funny and it's not really you. So, for example, I wouldn't want to do what Don does because, he's a stand-up comedian. He's got his way. So I'd go and I'd enjoy your sense of humor, and I might steal a couple of things, and I always credit people, but I might steal a couple of things and go, that was great. That was awesome.
I'm going to
watch
it.
I'm sitting in the audience going, ooh, that was good. That was good. That was good.
There's that one guy with the iPad and the light screen.
I know people take my stuff all the time. I say, just credit me. Just give me credit. But so I think that's for me important, as I think we all have our own sense of humor. And maybe some people aren't as humorous as others, and that is a fact. My girlfriend always goes, please help me, I've got to do a presentation. How can I make it funny? I'm like, well, maybe you shouldn't make it funny. Maybe you just be yourself. So
I
know that's what I think.
But there's also humor in different arenas. So training or presenting or something is a certain kind of humor.
Yeah. Yes.
And when you're working with people, there's a certain kind. I'm sure you and your mates hang around a braai and you laugh constantly. And you think we are the funniest buggers ever. Yeah, I used to think I've got
invariably goes with alcohol around a bride.
100%.
Everybody else look at you guys going, these guys are so stupid.
Yeah. I tell everybody that my friends, I've got to funnily surrounded myself with a lot of funny people through the years, and my friends are a ton funnier than I am. I just think that I can deliver it on stage, or actually the others haven't even tried. So maybe if they did, I'd actually just quit comedy. But I get a lot of my material from my mates and the news and billboards. I saw a billboard on the way here. Did R. Kelly? He's got this tour called Single Ladies Only. And I was thinking, but I thought all 9-year-old girls were single. So that's
you bring up a good point. I'm glad
okay,
you
but
raised
this is
that
the
joke.
thing. This is the thing. So you have to look at things and think, okay, yes, it's a concert billboard, right?
Yeah.
But you got to find the funny. I told a joke a couple of years ago about these Mexican drug lords killing people and whatever. Anyway, at the end, it was ridiculously funny. However, you read the story in the news and you think, wow, that's a horrible story. Yeah. But I think you maybe have to be for stand-up comedy. I'm talking specifically. I think you have to be a little strange,
Yeah.
see things quite differently, to be able to make light of some horrific
one of my-
daily
I
things.
was going to ask, how do you bring humor then when you've got certain types of people, different styles, the way they interact with that? And Talon and I discussing this before you guys arrived. You've got people respond differently to humor in the workplace.
Yes.
So your Mexican standoff joke or the 9-year-old girl joke would go down probably like a hole on the head for most people. I mean, I thought it was pretty funny, but then I have a
sense of humor.
a certain style that I subscribe to, maybe 6. But how do you guys find that?
Well, it's just knowing your audience, as I'm sure Robin knows. I mean, he's
Absolutely.
done this on stage for a lot longer than I have. But it is really about knowing your audience.
And
When
sometimes you
need
make
to-
a faux pas and you go, "Ooh, okay, that one tanked."
Yes. Well, you know what you do, but own it though.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I do. So if I drop a joke, I tried a religious joke once and never again. And I dropped it, and then no one laughed. And I said out loud, "Well, that was a lot funnier in my head." And then the crowd laughed. And then I was okay, and I'm back.
Yeah. And I think that is important. And just to answer the question as well, there is something about knowing your audience.
Yeah.
Like, for example, when I go to New Zealand, they are way more politically correct than we are. Way more. So
Yeah.
I'm very cautious on my racial jokes. Whereas in South Africa, we can laugh at ourselves. I mean, I'll tell black jokes and Indian jokes and colored jokes, and I'll do the whole spectrum of jokes, and it's very, very funny. I remember the first Indian joke I told in New Zealand was like silence, and a friend of mine said, "Rob, New Zealand is very, very PC."
Yeah.
So what I learned is to warm my audience up. So in New Zealand, I don't go in and I go, bam. Whereas in South Africa, I go on stage, I'm like, man, we're going to have such fun. It's great. Let's go for it. In New Zealand, I go in and I kind of
Tell a
warm
few
the
rugby
audience
jokes.
up. Yeah, they love it. And also, I don't know how you find this. I was chatting to a friend yesterday, and he was just saying when he was in the States, he realized that, you know what, when you're in New York, you don't tell jokes about New Yorkers and make them look bad if you're not a New Yorker.
Exactly.
Because then they kind of go like, stuff you, mate.
Yeah,
I mean, who the hell are you? But, you tell jokes about yourself. I find that a lot of my humor, I tell people about my own faux pas because then they relate to me.
Yeah,
It's not
life experience helps.
like the one kind of humor that I really don't enjoy, and I know it's difficult for you guys, and I'd be intrigued to hear what you say. Like, I never pick on people in an audience because I find that makes them feel tough. But I know as stand-ups, that's almost like you gotta find that one.
First
Because I've been
first
picked on.
5 rows.
I've been picked on like.
But that's the point of knowing your audience, because in a training, especially if you're doing personal development, people are already vulnerable.
Yeah.
Because they're coming to work on themselves. So
Maybe it's different.
to point out, but where
I've been picked on many times. I don't mind them picking on me because I've got a couple
Thick
of times
skin.
it was quite hard. I was like, okay, enough now.
Yeah,
What do you think about
years ago, I was picked on in the front by Joe Parker, and he was emceeing a gig, and myself and my mate were in the front. I mean, I've got dodgy hair and tattoos, and I looked like a bit of a weirdo. So he nailed into me right away from the very beginning, and every comedian on the bill
Came and nailed it,
jumped in
I've
on
been
that,
there.
and everyone just added to the mix, and it was hectic. It was funny, but it's hardcore. It's
is
very
hardcore.
hardcore. But some people take it very, very badly. I mean, I've had people walk out after comedians have, just been picking on
Yeah.
this person, and so be it. It's just one of those things, I suppose. You're at a comedy show. It's all about the comedy.
known about.
I've got a couple of questions. One from Chanel, and she's asked,
Chanel.
Chanel.
Hey, Chanel.
Is there such a thing as too much humor for a situation? My lectures always told me it comes off as being childish.
I think there are certain times when it's not appropriate, and I for one have, and as you said with your wife, I know that I've made fun of things when actually it wasn't appropriate. So I do think there is the right time to be able to read what's going on and what's happening. For example,
Of course, yeah.
one of the things that happened for me is that I've always had a loud personality. I've always been over the top. And so I'd walk into a room and be like, hey, everybody, how's it? And I'll never forget a girlfriend of mine pulling me aside one day. And she says, Robin, when you walk into the room, not everybody needs to know that you've just arrived. She says, people are having conversations and maybe they're in and I'm like, I'm just being friendly. She says, yes, but maybe you need to learn to be sensitive to what's happening in the room before you jump in. And it was a huge lesson for me because I learned that actually it's important to read, is this appropriate?
Yeah.
Is this the right time? So absolutely, there is no question that and certainly in my job, I mean, as a comedian, it's different, but certainly in my job, I know that I'm always trying to balance. Sometimes I've walked off stage and gone, I was trying to be a comedian and did I deliver the message? And so sometimes I could lose the message as a speaker because I was so focused on being funny that I actually forgot, wait a minute, I'm actually a speaker. I'm supposed to be delivering a message.
You have a lot of personal awareness.
For sure. Absolutely.
And you have to find that balance, though, because as Talana said, so I run an innovation consultancy, we run workshops, and we also bring a lot of humor to that. It needs to, just because it's our personality, and that's how we roll. So it's not all going to be very sort of down the line, yes, strategic, blah, blah, blah. We always get results at the end of the day, but it needs to still be enjoyable. And that's what we need to bring. It's a completely different perspective.
But you were just saying you're working with some big directors. There's times when you need to be serious with them.
For sure, but still, I mean, some of those are dirtier than I am. We're still human.
That's saying a lot.
It is. We're still all human, So never mind this guy drives a car 10 times the cost of mine and lives in a house 10 times as big as mine. Is supposed to connected to all these huge people. Fact of the matter is a boy is a boy is a boy, and sometimes poo jokes are just really funny. No matter
I have
who
a
you
few
are.
of those, and I use them on stage. You've heard me use them.
Known so a lot about the mind, because I mean that's what you specialize in, the mind power. How does humor then relate to us running our brains better or controlling our minds?
What I will say is I consciously use humor in my presentations because what I find humor does is it opens people.
Yes.
So
you're saying that energy.
I've been born with the magnificent gift is that I've got a funny name, and most people don't get it. And I mean, I met a guy from the States when I was 16, and he says, "Your name's Robin Banks." He says, "Robin Banks." Now that sounds more like an occupation than a name. So I get up on stage and I'll tell people my name, and within 2 minutes the audience is laughing. And what I find that does is everybody who's sitting there kind of like, okay, well, what's this really about? And suddenly they laugh, and suddenly they open up, and so I very consciously use humor to disarm them. And then my intention is to drop in a piece of gold that you can use that'll change your life. So I'm very clear that I've got a message, and I want you to walk away understanding the power of your mind and how your thoughts create your reality. But sometimes people come there with this, well, I know everything I need to know. I mean, what's this guy going to tell me? Who's this whippersnapper? So I just find that humor does exactly that.
Whippersnapper?
Young whippersnapper.
I heard that on Downton Abbey the other night, and I was like, wow, yeah. So they said that in 1912. And 2013, it seems.
Whippersnapper. It's a proper word.
Oh, whippersnapper, what is it?
What a good word.
Little tiny person.
Yeah.
Like a leprechaun.
Like a baby.
Like a baby, like a whippersnapper.
When I started out as my career, I was
I'm gonna use it
24 years
tomorrow.
old teaching people, youth directors about attitude. And I was like, I
yeah.
had a lot of people like, young man, what the hell do you know? I'm like, well, I've got theory.
There was another question. I think you answered it on chat, and I'd like to hear your responses. What has humor done for your presentation and communication skills? So it's obviously it's opened yourself up to, as you said, disarming people, dropping in the nugget.
Yeah.
But from your side?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's exactly that. So use the humor as more of like a fluffer, really. And
all words and occupations
and the message is the final ramming home at the end of the day. And they leave with a good message and a smile in their face. So,
And a thought in their mind.
and a good thought in their
How to
mind.
get fluffer into a serious show? Not. Love it.
Yeah. But I mean,
That, my friend, is humor.
and just to add to that there is something about that there is something about consciously using it. So I mean, I'll sometimes use jokes, but that I know will work because if you use it on the right audience.
Yes.
But I think there is the sensitivity. Humor is actually serious business. You got to know how to use it at the right time. There is the right time and there's the wrong time. And I told a joke once, and after I said it wasn't even a joke, I made a comment, and I was teasing someone in the front row, and after I said it, I just felt like that was just so off.
Yes.
I was
It's that
just like,
immediate
was
sort of just shot in
and
the
I
heart.
knew
Like,
it.
oh, why did I do that?
But I think, as you said, Don, you know what I immediately did? I turned around and said to the audience, I said, you know what? That just didn't come out right. And I said, and I turned to the guy, I said, I'm really, really sorry. I didn't mean that in the way it sounded. He says, no, it's okay. I said, it might be okay for you, but it wasn't okay for me. And I just want to say that. And what I find is that
another dig later.
the audience
Being genuine.
but what I find then is the audience then can they appreciate that.
To see a human
Yeah.
side.
They see the human side, like, actually that one was a bit off, because we're all off occasionally. I mean, I remember I had a bad day like 6 years ago, so we all have them.
Terrible day. I was so
we
sick.
just own it. It's terrible.
Anyway.
Right.
So this is the sensitivity part.
yeah.
Okay, I'm talking too much. That sensitivity. I'm watching myself all the time.
Is there anything that you think blocks humor? So obviously, you guys are funny guys, and you being sensitive to the audience, and you come with it. But especially, I was thinking, like in the workplace, if the environment doesn't allow for humor, if that makes
Germany.
sense, if the other people,
Germany blocks humor.
Germany,
If we can just bypass those bloody Germans.
You've been there.
No, what blocks humor?
what would so you might go and be all great and ready to do your presentation, but the people in the room are not in that same place, and it doesn't matter how many jokes you drop, but they just
See, but you see, that for
Okay,
me
there.
comes back to the sensitivity again. Seriously, when you are being authentically you, I find that if I'm trying to be funny, I mean, I actually said this at the beginning, that I have the hugest respect for stand-up comedians, because his job is to be funny. I'm in a different situation, because you pay me to deliver a message. So if you don't laugh, that's not the point.
Yeah.
So I'd love to hear your answer to this, because for me, when I go there, I'm being myself, and so being funny is who I am unintentionally. I'm not even trying to be funny. I just am, especially on stage. It's funny you should say, if you hang out with me personally, I'm much funnier on stage than I am, one-on-one. And because I don't know why. I don't know what have happened, but something happens, and when I'm on stage, it's almost like the showman comes up in me. So for me, in terms of your question of does anything block humor, I think it comes down again to the sensitivity.
Damper it.
Feeling the sensitivity of the appropriateness of the moment. I love the description of wisdom. Wisdom is the sense of the fitness of things. And so if you have true wisdom and you can sense the fitness of the moment, you can sense what will work for a particular audience.
Yeah.
So, for example, in New Zealand, I had to learn a different way of being with the audience, because then I went to Australia and I had to learn a different way, because the audience in Australia is much more crass. They crass, and they love it if I'm a little bit more risque.
Yeah.
And a guy like Kevin Bloody Wilson, my lord.
Yeah, exactly.
Who is it?
Hamish and Andy.
Go on YouTube. It's not really necessarily fit, I think, the language for the show.
Yeah.
But
No, they love you to be crass.
it's proper language on a different scale.
Well, now you see, if you try that in New Zealand, they don't like it.
Yeah.
Then in the UK, you got to be a little more cynical. They like it a bit. So I do think there's a sense of the fitness of the thing of learning the audience. So I don't know how you find.
I
find
don't
a
think
tough
anyone
audience?
can block your humor specifically. I think for the most part, people try to block their own humor. I mean, I've found that in audiences where, and I'm by no means laugh a minute. Let me just throw it out there. I have some good jokes, but I'm no John Vlismus, Kenny Boyd, or any of these guys. But you have these shows where everyone's laughing and there's one person sitting close to the front with their arms folded just staring at you. And you're either just not their cup of tea.
Completely.
Or I think potentially some people actually just block it within themselves. Maybe they feel like enjoying life too much is being a baddie.
Yeah, you shouldn't enjoy life, damn it.
No, but for real, absolutely real.
I agree.
I think some people just don't want to accept that within themselves. I know it sounds so bizarre, but I feel that. That's very strange.
So
But
is
you
that
know,
where if you find a room full of tough crowd in terms of like a training aspect, that's where the warming up point comes well. So you start slowly.
It gains rapport with them.
That's it. You warm them up, and then you have them almost eating out of your hand maybe an hour or so later.
Key to any gig though is enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done gigs where I've had little giggles throughout the whole 15, 20 minutes, but I left just laughing still to myself because I had such a good time. And you're working hard and you're just enjoying it. You tell
Giggles
a joke
and
and you laugh to yourself. And if people aren't enjoying it, they're just not enjoying it. You can't get everyone on your side.
And you know what's going on for audience. I mean, two things. Just one is I was at a birthday party, and Mark Lottering was at the birthday party, and he decided to make a speech. And this is where you get that some people are. From the moment he clanged the glass, he was hilarious. He hadn't prepared it. He was just commenting on this and that. So some people just naturally have that ability. That, I mean, he just opens his mouth, and as it comes out, it's funny. You know, that's not necessarily my thing, but I do remember having an audience. Forget this. I was doing this talk in Cape Town. It was a hot summer's day, and I arrive. I'm busy preparing, and I'm like checking with the MC guy, the technician, make the music louder. I want it louder. And I'm wearing a pink shirt, and the lady who's organizing the conference comes in, and these are all like they're from Denmark and Sweden and Germany. Robbie, what are you doing? So I said, no, I'm just checking the sound level. You're playing the music for what? So I said, no, at the end we're all gonna dance. And no, Robbie, they don't do this. They don't do this. So I said, no, I'm pretty sure they will. She says, well, good luck. I don't think so. These are finance people. And I will never forget these guys walk in. I mean, almost like in a straight line.
I only want to hear one click.
No, serious. It was exactly like this, yeah. They are wearing suits and the ties, and all dark suits, and the ties are tied up to the top, and here I am in my pink shirt. I'm like, right, okay, and they all like sit down, right, we shall listen to the speaker. And usually I've got the audience laughing within 2 minutes. 5 minutes later, you could hear a pin drop. I was like, I'm dying here. And I was persistent.
That's where you move to right. So this audience wants a message. You scrap the humor, maybe drop in one or two just as an aside to keep yourself entertained and deliver that message.
So that is exactly what I did, is I focused on the message. But I thought, come on, I got to find the funny side. The point is, at the end, they were dancing and loving it and hugging.
Great.
But it took a lot more work.
Hugging!
It took a lot more work and tuning in. Again, tuning in, sensing the fitness of things. What does the audience want? And so for me, it really is a sensitivity thing for me, about really being able to read where I'm at. Because occasionally I'll offend somebody, and I really don't mean to. But then again, maybe I just wasn't sensitive enough. And I do think some people, unfortunately, really just need a little bit of a cracker. It's like, dude,
keep calm and relax and enjoy life.
Yeah.
And so when I have those people in my audience, I just kind of go, you know what? You're not going to connect with everyone. Some people are going to not like you and tough.
There's one last question, I think, on chat is in terms of sensitivity. Shouldn't the audience know what they're getting into, though? So I think from a comedian side, they should expect something risque, even.
Yes.
100%.
From a training
Especially
side,
if you sit in the front row.
Yeah. From a training perspective, maybe.
Well, it's a different story.
Yeah.
Well, it is completely so you can go, because there are some trainers who don't use humor at all. It's content, it's delivering a message and getting people to leave with something, making them feel good about themselves. But stand-up, I mean, I don't get it, stand-up comedy, when people arrive and they get, they
offended.
don't enjoy it. Yeah, they get offended. It's like, no,
It's a comedy show.
yeah, exactly. And I know a lot of guys like Joe Parker, for example, when he MCs gigs, he says, just to let everyone know that there's going to be swearing, there's going to be blaspheming, there's going to be this and that, whatever. And if there's anything that you don't like, really, please, if there's anything that doesn't suit your fancy, please just... And he swears. Apparently, I'm not allowed to swear on this show, so that's why
You've done well, by the way.
the sneaky little whistle. Papalo, I've saved you a bleeping. And everyone laughs, but so they get it.
Yeah.
But then there are still those little oaks who still hang around and are like, no, I don't like this. No, well,
I
then
went
why
to
did
Joe
you come
Park
to a
with a friend
comedy
of mine
show?
who's very religious, and I had to say to her, it's okay, don't worry, it's just being funny. But does he have to use that language? I'm like, well, we've come to a
Well, you know,
comedy show.
the Parkers is actually like a church on a Sunday.
Yeah.
They have church services on a Sunday. So if
Oh,
you're at
really? I
Parker's
didn't know
drinking
that.
and laughing at
Saturday night.
the JJ jokes on a Saturday night, and the next morning, it's very
How fascinating! I didn't know that.
very, very funny. So it gets
The world
cleansed
is ironic.
once a week. A little cleansing goes on.
Well, if you'd like to find out more about Don Packett and Robin Banks, you can see their profiles on our website, which is ltp.ltnet.tv. And if people want to get hold of you, Don, how can people get hold of you?
They just phone me, send me flowers, a fax. But the old school fax with a roll. That's always nice. Facebook and Twitter. It's easy.
What's your
on
tweet handle?
At Don Packett.
Cool, thanks. And Robin, I know you've got some talks coming
I've
up
got
where
some
you're going to
free seminars
actually
coming up in Johannesburg.
make people
and
laugh.
I'd love to have people come in here. It's more about mind power, so they're going to learn a lot. It will be entertaining, but it's more about mind power. So that's next week, Wednesday and Thursday, and I will take this opportunity to advertise. It's the 24th, Wednesday 24th, and Thursday 25th of July from 7 to 10 p.m. at the Killarney Country Club. Be there. It's free. Learn valuable mind power techniques. Wednesday and Thursday, 7 to 10 p.m., the Killarney Country Club.
And how can people get hold of you then?
Probably the best is go to my website, robinbanks.co.za. And also my Facebook is Robin Banks Live. So you can find me there and all the information is there.
Cool. We'd love to hear your views as well. So if anyone's got any jokes to share with us, you can tweet us on LT Possibility. Otherwise, find us on our Facebook page. And next week, we're actually exploring a bit of a slightly different topic. We're exploring what peace means with some celebrities and the difference between putting your energy for something versus against something.
Awesome.
So that could be quite interesting.
Who have you got?
We've got Sito
Okay.
and 2 others.
Oh, yeah, I know them. I know them.
But that group, yeah.
But anyway, until then, when I remember who's with me next week, from me, it's Lana Simpson, all of us here at Let's Talk Possibility.
See, you're very funny.
Have a great week and go laugh about the possibilities.
Thank you, Talana.
Excellent, thank you.